Good morning. We'll try that again. I just did an aborted start to this live because I hadn't set my phone up properly. How are you doing today? Good morning. Welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. Welcome to the first day of this week. Yeah, it's going to be a super short one this time. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. I've got loads of things I need to get done, so I'm going to crack on with those things. Had some frustrating news over the weekend, personally. It's not really relevant, but it's knocked me a little bit this morning. But I want to get on with some work and just crack on with my life and kind of stop thinking about it too much. Did, however, meet my first cousins once removed on Saturday. My cousin's children, Iago and Clara, who were amazing. Haven't seen Clara since she was 8. I don't think I've seen Iago since he was about 5. So seeing them at 17 and 12 was amazing. And my two cousins, Lucy and Amanda, as well. So it was really good to see them too. It was a really nice weekend. I taught Clara how to solve the Rubik's Cube. She would have remembered it at all, but it was kind of fun anyway. She was quite keen. Obviously, I haven't got any Rubik's Cubes in front of me because, of course, they're in my bag because I took them to the event on Saturday. And of course, yesterday we also had the England Lionesses winning the European Championship. Goodness, how they managed to pull that off! Because the last 3 matches they've been like 1 goal down, and they've come back and managed to win them. I'm not sure if it was all 3 of the last 3 matches, but anyway, basically, just came back from unbelievable. And they lost their first match as well against, I think it was France, in the group stages. So it's just like everything was stacked against them, completely ridiculous. And then yesterday, I think it was Lucy Bronze. Admitted that she has a fracture in her tibia. I looked it up, and it turns out it'd have to be quite a small fracture because it's a weight-bearing bone in your leg. It's basically your shin bone. But you can have a little crack in the top of it, or a stress fracture in the top of it near where the knee is, and it will be painful, but possible to carry on. So I guess that's what's happened. But still, doing a whole tournament with a small stress fracture in your leg. And still managing to go on and win and do so well. Amazing. And I think, to be honest, the whole thrust of the sort of Lionesses kind of victory and success is all around kind of mental resilience, to be honest, to a certain extent, which is why I thought it might be worthwhile kind of investigating that and talking about that briefly on this live here, which is why it'll be quite quick, because I think it was very obvious if you were watching any of the matches what was going on. They made some. There's a problem in the English defensive lines. It's quite clear because all of those 3 goals that we let in at the beginning of all of the last 3 matches were crosses where we weren't closing down the attacking players enough, I don't think, on the right-hand side. Not sure why they didn't solve that problem, but it seemed to be the same issue every time. Fine down the left. When they attacked down the left, everybody pushed out, all right. But down the right just didn't seem to push out to the players who were attacking as much. I'm not even a football fan, but even I noticed that they were just standing off too much on that right-hand side. Especially when you watch the replay of the goals, you think, okay. Anyway, so I'm sure they'll address that and see they'll deal with it. But they still managed to win anyway. This is the point I'm making. Because they never give up. They never gave up. They just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. They never let themselves feel defeated. They just kept going. And I think that was the main thing. And of course, the substitutes came on and they had even more enthusiasm to say, let's turn this around. Let's make this happen. Let's make this work. Which is why the Adebayo, was that her name? Aguileo? I can't remember her name. Anyway, got young player of the tournament competition at the end as well, because she was amazing. She kept on coming on, scoring goals, getting England through and helping them get going. She had a bit of a longer run this time and didn't score a goal. So, yeah, just is what it is. And she was like a ball girl at one of the tournaments, like the last tournament or something. She was just like, wasn't even playing. And she wasn't even in the squad like 4 or 5 months ago or something. Before the tournament started. I think she was brought in because somebody else got an injury or something. I'm not quite sure what the story behind that is. But again, it's just a matter of believing in yourself and not giving up. And that's exactly what she said in her post-match interview. She was saying, just believe that anything's possible. Don't give up on your dream. If assuming, of course, your dream is at least vaguely possible. Obviously, there are some things. I've been having a conversation recently with somebody on Facebook who just kept on saying, well, my dreams are not possible. It's not possible. There's no way of doing it. It's not possible. And you're like, well, okay, but what are they? Are you sure they're not possible? And a lot of people will say, oh, they're not possible because I don't have enough money, for example, or not possible because I don't live in a certain area, or it's not possible because I had this upbringing or this background. And you go, well, yeah, but that's not necessarily a reason why it's not going to work. You know, it's not possible. I mean, there are some physical limitations, like, for example, if you wanted to have children and you're a woman and you get to about 45 plus, it starts to become quite difficult to have a go. It's still not impossible, though. It's still not impossible. But you could also adopt, of course. And that's what a lot of people said to me. Because I still want biological children. And people say, oh, you want children? Why don't you just adopt? And I'm like, well, yeah, because I want my own biological children. I want to, create the Denley name. I want to have a little John Denley brought into the world. Now, I know it's possible that even if I met somebody, that they might not be able to have children and I might not be able to have children, all that kind of stuff, all those boxes and so forth. So there's a process there, but technically it's still possible. So, I won't give up on the dream until it's completely impossible. And realistically, for me, as a man, admittedly, it's never going to be not possible to have a biological child. But that's not true, because I might not be able to. My sperm might not be quite strong enough to make it happen. For example, it's probably realistically a little bit impossible for me to walk on the moon. It's not impossible, but realistically, it's a bit of a stretch. Going into space, however, really very much not impossible at all. Now, obviously, I could just go on Blue Origin. I could pay like $500,000, whatever it is, to get on Blue Origin and just go and fly like into space and back out again, like Katy Perry did recently. Everybody was saying, oh, how could you call herself an astronaut? And he said, well, because technically she is, because she went past a certain height, and that technically makes you into an astronaut, something like that. So I could do that. Honestly, though, I'd really rather go to something like the International Space Station, or go do like a whole full orbit of the Earth, or something like that. Something like properly going into space kind of situation. But still, highly unlikely. But just need money, basically. That's all it is. You just need money, mostly, and a bit of time. Obviously, there's going to be an age limit on being a working person in space, for example. But going up and doing a circuit of the Earth and then coming back down again, that's very much going to be possible in my lifetime, and probably affordable in 20 or 30 years or so. That's still on my ticket. That's still on my, yep, I can do that. Visiting Australia, that kind of stuff, and going to Bali. That's just finances really stopping me doing those things. Anyway, the point being, whatever your dream is, don't give up on it. Don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself based on self-imposed mental health limits, basically. Obviously, there are some physical restrictions. I'll admit that. That's fine. But give it a chance. Or maybe talk to somebody who's not in your local sphere. Maybe somebody who has achieved some stuff in their life. Or people who are just generally positive. Talk to me, for crying out loud. I might not have achieved a lot of stuff, but I've seen a lot of people who have. I know people who have lots and lots of money, who have done everything they've wanted to do in their lives. So I know those people. And I know people who have made money really, really quickly. So, these things are possible. And it's just a matter of saying, okay, so what's the plan then? What is your dream? What is your desire? And what's your plan? So by going back to the Lionesses again, they just never gave up. They didn't say this is over. Oh my gosh, we're one goal down. No, it's over. No. Let's go and score another goal. Let's equalise it. Let's get to extra time. Because then in extra time we can play another 30 minutes, and we can try again. We can get some more substitutes on. And then we can try and get the winning goal. And if we don't get the winning goal, that's okay. We've still got penalties. Two goals down in the penalty shootout. It doesn't matter. We've still got 3 more. We can still win this. It's okay. It's not over till, you know what the phrase is, that it's not over till the fat lady sings, which of course is an opera reference. But it's a little bit sexist, I suppose. But the point is that it's not over until it's over. It's not, your dreams are not over until there is no way you can achieve your dreams. There's no way. Not that you don't believe that there's any way, but there is no way. That's the only time it's ever like too far. It's when it's not, because it's not about your beliefs. It's not about your mental health. It's not about your mental strength. It's about physical practicalities, and there's very few physical practicalities that are stopping you from achieving your dreams, whatever your dreams are, assuming that they're not completely insane. That's a bad phrase. I apologize for that. And assuming, of course, that your dreams are not completely impossible, physically impossible. I know I've gone round and round in circles on this a little bit more, but it really does frustrate me when people say, oh, it's not possible. And you go, okay, well, you don't think it's possible, but what is it? And how could it be possible? What circumstances could exist such that you could achieve your dreams? What would happen? What would need to happen? This is an exercise that Kyle Cease used to talk about. It's called Kyle-Legoing, effectively. And he basically says, pretend you're sitting down with a friend and it's a year from now. Now, admittedly, he's doing it in sort of slightly smaller goals and so forth, but it's the same idea. Imagine you're sitting down for coffee with a friend in a year from now, and for some reason you haven't seen this friend, a close friend, obviously somebody you know quite well, and you haven't seen this friend for a year, and you're not, for some reason, doesn't matter what the reason is, you just haven't seen them. And you could actually do this with a real friend in a real coffee shop and actually just ask them to play along, because it's not very difficult for them to play along, because, well, you'll see when I talk about it, because if you just to pretend you're a year from now. So the idea is you pretend it's the year from now and you're sitting down in a coffee shop with a really close friend of yours, and they, for some reason, they haven't seen you for a year. Okay. And you tell them how amazing your life is, that your life has turned out to be exactly what you wanted it to be. And everything that you thought was not possible to happen has happened over the last year. And the friend, obviously, because they haven't seen you for the last year, and even in like real life, if you sat down with them, you would have the same thing. They would go, well, how did that happen? And you would go, well, you wouldn't believe it, but I bumped into X, Y, and Z while I was out shopping one day. And I had a conversation with them, and they said, oh, I know so-and-so who can introduce you and help you get to whatever it is you're trying to do. And so I went along to that, and I couldn't afford it. But then I asked so-and-so to if they could lend me the money, because I knew that I'd be able to pay it back if it all worked out fine. And so I found X, Y, and Z, and they gave me this amount of money. And that allowed me to go on this adventure with this person. And then this person helped me, introduce me to this other person who then helped me achieve this dream. And now I have this amazing life, and everything's working exactly how I wanted it to be. And you just literally make stuff up. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's a year from now and you have achieved your dream. The question then is, how did that happen? What in your life occurred to make that dream? And you literally make stuff up, and you get your friend to push you and say to you, well, how did that happen? Well, who helped you do that? And what was the thing with that? And you literally make it up. Doesn't matter. Just nonsense. Just make nonsense up. The point being is that when you do that, you effectively build a pathway from, actually it's this way around, isn't it? From here, because I've talked about this future past thing before. You're here now, your future over here. This is 1 year from now. This is your future past. This hasn't happened yet, but when you get to here 1 year from now, this is now your past. Okay, but at the moment, that's still your future past. It doesn't exist yet. You haven't had that past yet, so you're not there yet. Anything can happen in this area here. Now, I normally talk about this in terms of things you haven't done that you want to do, and now you can make sure that you do them. But it's much exactly the same kind of concept. You are standing here a year from now, and you're drawing a pathway to this amazing future that you have right now. And it doesn't matter whether it's true or not, whether it's possible, whether you believe it's possible, or any of that stuff. Just doesn't matter. You just create something, you say something, because what's happening there is you're activating your what's called a reticular activating system or activation system inside your brain. It's a part of your brain that looks for things in your life. We talked about this with the yellow arrows on the, that's not it, yellow arrows on the Camino. Talked about this when you go on the Camino, you get a whole bunch of Little yellow arrows everywhere. Why can I never find them when I need them? There you go. Oops. Little yellow arrows like this on the Camino. There's just those are regular ones on the street, and then you'll get ones like this, which is kind of part of like the architecture of the area, and then you'll get ones like this. It's just on the back of a lamppost. Oh, sorry, wrong way around. This one here is like just on the back of a lamppost, just a little yellow arrow on the back of a lamppost, utterly meaningless to anybody else in the world. And then you get people making rock formations in the middle of fields to say this is the way to go to Santiago. In the middle of the big cities, you'll get these in the pavement, these little shells in the pavement along the way. So those are all like directions. When you're walking the Camino de Santiago, you know to look for these little yellow arrows as you're walking along. You see them, and that reticular activating system is what's happened there. You've activated that reticular activating system to look for little yellow arrows and shells in the road, or just big arrows, obviously, in the case of the rocks. But again, you've kind of conditioned yourself to look for arrows. And you see a big rock and you go, okay, that's pointing me in the right direction. But the point is that has, your brain is looking for those things. And if you went to those towns and you weren't walking the Camino de Santiago and you see all these little yellow arrows on the back of a lamppost, you wouldn't know what they meant. They would be completely meaningless to you. You would ignore them. You probably wouldn't even see them. You might pay attention to the big rock formation in the middle of a field if you happen to be crossing that field, but you think to yourself, but again, you'd look at it and you go, where's that pointing to? Where is that taking me? Because I can't see anything in that direction of that arrow. It's just meaningless. So you kind of just walk past and maybe take a photograph and go, there's a weird arrow I found in the middle of the field. I don't know what that's supposed about. Somebody might tell you, but you might never know. Might never know what that arrow is about. Obviously you would now, because I just told you. But again, you're looking for these things. So when I'm talking about the dream and you've created this fake future past, so this is your fake past here at this point, because you're a year from now, you're talking to your best friend and you're looking back on this year as to everything that's happened, but you're actually really now here. But your brain now can see that path, can see that possibility. It has this possible. It makes things seem achievable, even if it's completely like walking down Cirencester High Street. So I'm here a year from now, and I'm saying, well, on Tuesday because I won't do it today, but tomorrow could. Well, Wednesday is probably better, because normally I go for coffee on a Wednesday morning. Okay, so here you go. So I'm building realism into the situation. So on Wednesday, the 30th of July, 2025, I went for coffee at my local coffee shop. And for some reason, I didn't go to the normal place I go to. I went to a different coffee shop. I just tried out this new coffee shop, which is actually what I did last week. And I met, who happened to be sitting in this coffee shop, Richard Branson. Could you believe it? I actually met Richard Branson. He was just sitting there in the coffee shop. And he said to me, because we got chatting, and he said, oh, you seem like a really nice guy. I've got a spare place on my plane. We're going to Necker Island in a couple of weeks' time. Can you come and spend a week with us over on Necker Island? And I'm like, I don't know. What's happening in a couple of weeks' time? Let me just check my diary. I looked at my diary. There's nothing in my diary. Maybe there's something in there that needs to be moved. I was going to go to Switzerland next month, so I could just say, right, I'm not going to go to Switzerland, or I'm going to delay that. I'm going to go to Necker Island with Richard Branson instead. Who knows who I'm going to meet on Necker Island, but he's got a free place on his plane to spend a week on Necker Island, because he liked the cut of my jib. He just happened to be having coffee in. Now, I know, realistically, that's not really going to happen. It's unlikely I'm going to meet him, and that's not going to happen. And obviously that would just be the start of the journey, because then I met this other person, then I met this other person, then this other thing happened, and then this other thing happened, and eventually I ended up here with this amazing life that I've got. So, realistically, probably not met Richard Branson, but who knows? I might just meet random person. So I met the delivery driver for that coffee shop, for example, last week when I went there. I'd never met her before. Nice lady, couple of children, fantastic. Smiled, said hello. It was all nice. There's no reason why she couldn't say, oh, by the way, I've got... she could have asked me a question. So, well, what do you do? She could have just said, I said, I do this mental health stuff with my Create Happy Thoughts. And she said, oh, that's really fantastic. I run a charity, or I know a friend who runs a charity, and they'd be really interested in buying 1,000 of your books to give out to everybody, which I kind of almost had a couple of years ago. or last year. I think it was last year. Almost had that with a charity. Just never followed through with it. But again, these things can happen, because I met somebody at Expert Empires a couple of months ago who said, I want to help you sell many more of your books. And well, see, and here's an example of me blocking myself. Let me finish the story first of all, though. So I didn't meet Richard Branson, but I met this girl. She introduced me to this charity. This charity did some work for this charity, and then we ran and they happened to be running a charity ball in London. I went to a charity ball in London, and that's where I met Richard Branson. You know, could be. That's a bit more realistic. But there's no reason why, once I've formed the path, and now I've got the concept going on, and I've seen that it's possible that I do these things, and I take the chance of going to this charity do thing in London, and boom, there we go. There was the chance meeting, and maybe it wasn't Richard Branson, maybe it was, I don't know, who else could I meet that's got a lot of money and a bit of get up and go about them. I don't know. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. But I'm sure you can think of people. It could be Tony Robbins. No, Tony Robbins is a bad example. I can't think of anybody. Somebody with a lot of money. Somebody. Yes. Anyway, you get the idea, the general idea. I was going off on a topic there, and I forgot something that I was going to say. Dang it. The dreams, the steps along the way. You're going to see the steps along the way. You're going to see the possibilities. You're going to take the chances. Oh, blocking myself off. Expert Empires. Met this guy. Said he wants to help me sell more books. And he was saying, well, this book should be selling for £40 and not £9. And I'm like, nobody's going to buy it for £40. And he said, oh, yes, they will. I said, oh, okay. Well, if we're going to sell them for £40, I should add in some extra bits. Actually, maybe he said £20, actually, thinking about it. I think he said £20. The book should be selling for £20. Yes, he did. I definitely said that. And I said, oh, well, if we're selling it for £20, then maybe we should add in a course and membership to my group so they can get a bit of support. He said, oh, well, if you're going to include that, then it should be £40. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. The whole point of me adding those things in was to make me feel comfortable about selling at a 20. And now you're telling me it should be £40. And he was like, yeah, it's definitely be £40. That'd be £40. You get plenty of people buying that. And I didn't follow up because I was kind of scared, and I didn't really like the sound of making those kinds of sales to those sorts of people. But that's me blocking that opportunity. And this is exactly the point I'm making. I didn't feel comfortable selling this book for £20. And so I stopped somebody else doing it for me because I had a belief that nobody would pay £20 for this book. That's me. That's me. That's me blocking my own dreams because of my own beliefs, and not because of practicalities or realism. Now, because he wasn't going to charge me any money to do it, he was going to take a cut of the sales. So, to be honest, if he's selling them for £20 and I'm still getting £9 for them, who do I care? What do I care if he's selling them, all of them? Especially if they then come back into my sphere and then maybe buy other things for me, come on walking retreats. Come into my Facebook group and watch this video, for example. Come into the paid group, which doesn't exist yet. Still doesn't exist. What is it, 3 or 4 years now I've been talking about doing this paid group? Still haven't done it yet. Again, there you go. That's me blocking my own dreams again, because I want to be helping people, and I'm not helping people right now because I'm just holding myself back. And that's the point. That's exactly the point. Stop cutting off your own dreams by believing your own beliefs. Listen to the Lionesses and follow their dreams and follow their example of never giving up on your dreams and achieving the result you want, because you can see the pathway ahead. Look at your future path, your future past. Pretend it. Go into the future, talk to a friend, pretend like it's happened already. Have a look at that. They would have had that thing. They would have done that thing where, come back to that in a second. Wrexham, last episode of the Wrexham Welcome to Wrexham series, this series on Disney Plus. Brilliant. Exactly the same thing. So they've gone to the future. They said, we want to be back-to-back European champions. Here's the path we're going to do. We're going to win all our group matches. Then we're going to get into the semi-finals. We're going to play against this team. We're going to play this team. This is the way we're going to play. This is how we're going to do it. And we're going to raise a cup at the end of the thing. We all know how it feels. Not all, but some of them knew how it feels because they did it 3 years ago in London or England or wherever it was. So they kind of already know it's possible, and they've already done it, so they've already seen it. But even if they hadn't, they could have seen somebody else do it. So, for example, Spain won I think it was the World Cup just recently, so they're currently the world champions. And now England want to win the World Cup themselves, the Women's World Cup. And that's their next goal. Their next big goal is the Women's World Cup. I think, is it in America? I'm not sure. Anyway, but they've seen Spain doing it, and they've beaten Spain in the final. So now the possibility becomes very real, doesn't it? You see what I mean? You're not limiting your own beliefs. Well, we can't become world champions. We've never been world champions before. Look at the boys. 1966 was the last time we won the World Cup football. Will they win it next year? Maybe because they've seen the women do it. They go, oh, well, see, the women have done it back to back, and we should really be able to do it now. We can believe in ourselves a little bit more, perhaps, maybe, hopefully. We'll see. Welcome to Wrexham. So, if you haven't watched it yet and you've got access to Disney Plus, I massively recommend it. Now, you don't have to watch the whole series. Doesn't really matter. If you just watch the last episode of the most recent series, I think it's on series like 3, 4, 5 or something. I don't know. I lost track. Anyway, the most recent episode of the most recent series of Welcome to Wrexham, which is the episode when they get their back-to-back promotions, so promoted for the 3rd year in a row. And there's a scene at the end when Rob McElhaney, who's one of the directors and one of the Hollywood people who bought the team, is giving a team talk before the last match of the season. Well, second to last match of the season, as it actually was, but not relevant. But assume it's the last match of the season, and basically they need to win this match to win promotion. Let's just put it like that. There's a bit more to it than that, but it's good enough for most people to understand. And he's written to somebody in America, I can't remember who it was, I think it was Tiger Woods actually, asking for what do I say to the players to encourage them to win the match? What's a sort of good motivational speech or whatever. And I can't remember what he actually said, but he ended up talking to them and saying, individuals, the individuals who were the sort of main players, as it were, and saying, I can imagine this guy as a child, because what he's saying to them is, remember what it was like to play football as a child and how you loved the game. Forget about how important this match is. Just be the child who wanted to play football at this level. Oh, getting emotional just thinking about it. And he said, I can imagine you as children dreaming of this day when you do this, and then when you do this, and then you when you do this, and then you when you do this. And he's described all these things, and it was playing along with the actual match that happened after that speech happened. And it was, so after that speech happened, and they were showing the things that actually happened in the match, almost the exact way that McElhaney had described it while he was doing the pre-match team talk. So it's like really predicting what happened at the end. So he was like, this is what I think is going to happen, and this is what I think is going to happen. And then they showed it actually happening in the game. So that future past that he created it in their minds that they were going to do these amazing things. And then during the match, they did those amazing things. I mean, I don't know how much editing there was going on there, but he obviously said those things for sure, and those things definitely happened. Now, obviously, again, you could say, well, was it a superhuman goal? Well, he did a little side kick thing, and it would look quite spectacular. So it was kind of like, okay, it was quite spectacular. It was quite unlikely, and he did do it. So, prediction or is that actually predicting what happened, or is that creating that future? Is that predicting what happened, or is it actually making the things inside the reticular activating system inside your head affect the outcome that actually created the thing that actually happened in the end? So was it prediction or was it creation? Who knows? But it happened, so it is what it is. Anyway, so that's my little bit about dreams and aspirations and never giving up on your dreams, and just pushing forward and not letting your own negative self-beliefs, your negative self-worth get in the way of your own success and your own dreams, and just allowing these things to happen and crack on with it. Take care. I love you all. Sending you all the love. See you again next Monday at 12. Bye.